Wow, man. What a game. A phenomenal game three in the NBA Finals. So let's go ahead. Let's talk about it, bro. From jump, I mean, Chet Holmgren came out of this game absolutely firing. Him and Lou Dort were carrying the Oklahoma City Thunder offensively. Chet started the game out with like 10, 12, 14 points, something like that, and Lou Dort had 9 points on 3 of 3 from 3. Those guys started the game off phenomenally and were really OKC's only real offense that kept them in the game and that really had them having the lead over Indiana early. And I was really looking at that, and I was like, damn, this is gonna be kind of reminiscent of Game Two, where Chet kind of has an insane start to this game, and he kind of leads them offensively, and then because of him, the rest of the and because of his offensive his because of his ability to excel offensively early in the game, I'm like, damn, that's going to allow J Dub to get comfortable. It's going to allow Shea to get comfortable. These guys are going to build a lead in the second quarter. They're just going to go on this run and they're going to win this game. And I thought that was what was going to happen, man. But that is indeed not what happened. We'll talk about Chet, how he finished the game later. But we need to talk about the second quarter of the Indiana Pacers first. And I'm sorry, I'm just trying to organize my notes a little bit, see what I wanted to talk about in what order. Um, and this was a crazy stretch in the second quarter. I think this stretch in the second quarter that the Indiana Pacers had ended up winning them this game. It was this stretch and then another stretch that was very similar to it in the fourth quarter with like 7, 8, 9 minutes remaining, and those are the two stretches that I believe won the Indiana Pacers this game. During that stretch, it was TJ McConnell, it was Obi Toppin, and it was Benedict Mathurin who were carrying, who were doing so much off the bench for the Indiana Pacers, man. They all had a huge second quarter, and it started with the man, TJ McConnell. He had a few steals on some lazy Oklahoma City Thunder inbound passes in that second quarter, and then he did a similar thing off of an Alex Caruso lazy inbound pass in the fourth quarter, and those things led to him having some open layups, some easy layups, some easy finishes. They allowed for Indiana to get some offense in a time where OKC's defense wasn't ready. They weren't set. They weren't expecting it. They weren't expecting to even be on defense during this stretch, man. TJ McConnell with those huge steals, he has some great passing. He had a huge impact without even having a single point during that entire stretch. And obviously, he ended up with a few points. Let me look at what the actual number was because I'm not sure. Low key, it might have been like 2 points. He finished with a grand total of. He finished with 10 points. So I did not realize that. He ended up hitting 3 shots, but it was 4-4 at the line. That's what really got him. But the 5 steals, man, off of the bench and his 15 minutes in the game, this man went out there, scored 10 points with 5 assists and 5 steals, and was a plus 12 on the plus minus, man. Phenomenal TJ McConnell game. This is exactly what TJ McConnell does for you. He's an energy guy. He's a guy that's going to get some passing, and in a game like this, he's a guy that's going to be that veteran presence. He's going to do the things that the Indiana Pacers need him to do. Phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal TJ McConnell game. I cannot stress that enough. During that time, though, it wasn't just him. It was Obi Toppin, who didn't have the type of game he had in game one, but still ended up having a solid game. 4 of 8, 8.6 board. He was doing great during that stretch, and in his 28 minutes, I thought he was also very impactful. But the man off the bench, man, the man that we really, really need to talk about, Benedict Mathurin, having the best game of his career tonight. 9 of 12 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3, 7 of 8 from the free throw line, 27 points, a plus 16, the second highest only behind Obi Toppin on the box score, man. Or plus 16 plus minus on the box score. That is a phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal game, and that is a game that you needed. In a game where you needed to win, a game where you felt like you could take control of this series, where you can go up 2-1 on the 65-win team that has the MVP of the league on their team. You get the best game of Benedict Mathurin's career. You get the best playoff performance of TJ McConnell's year this year. You get the second best Obi Toppin performance of the playoffs. Just phenomenal things from those 3 guys. The Indiana Pacers do not win this game at all without those guys. The Indiana Pacers didn't even get their first lead of the game until it was those 3 guys that were hooping during that second quarter. And on the other side of the other side of things during that second quarter, it was OKC who was just looking lost. It didn't matter if it was Shea on the court. It didn't matter if it was J-Dub on the court. It didn't matter if it was a combination of their starting 5 on the court. During that time, when Benedict Mathurin, Obi Toppin, and TJ McConnell were frying, the OKC's offense was awful. I'm talking about they were just turnover after turnover. It didn't matter if it was a lazy pass or if they got their pockets picked or if it was a 24-second violation. They couldn't do anything during that stretch. And literally their bench during this time wasn't giving them anything. When you have Indiana's bench giving you the best performances of their lives, of the playoffs at the very least, and then on the other side of it, all you can get from OKC's bench is a few Alex Caruso buckets, Cason Wallace and Aaron Wiggins didn't give you too much tonight. And then Isaiah Joe hit his 2 of 2 threes, and Isaiah Hartenstein was just out there taking up space. That was the difference, man. It was that Indiana bench, not just during this stretch, which was key as it gave them the lead, but it was the Indiana bench during the whole game. Phenomenal game from Indiana's role players. Just amazing, like literally amazing game from those guys. Back to the OKC side of things though. Chet, like I said, he had a solid start to the game. But during the last like 5 to 6 minutes of that fourth quarter, he was getting bullied, and Miles Turner was a guy that I was about to come on here and eviscerate his entire career had the Pacers lost this game. And then in the last 3 to 4 minutes, I erased my notes on him because his impact, especially defensively in those last couple minutes on Chet Holmgren, outweighed just how ass he had been shooting the ball for the rest of the game up until then. He gets 2 or 3 clutch blocks on Chet Holmgren. He gets a bucket or two in the clutch, whether those be layups or whatever. I don't care. He gets a bucket in the clutch. And in a game where Andrew Nembhard's giving you nothing offensively, where Aaron Nesmith is giving you nothing on either side of the ball, you expect for that to be a game where you need Miles Turner to do something for you, but he didn't have to because of the way that TJ McConnell, Benedict Mathurin, and Obi Toppin played. And then in the biggest moments, his defense ended up being clutch. The guy that has been the best shot blocker of these playoffs, the guy that has been one of the best and most prolific shot blockers of the entire NBA throughout his career, did exactly what you needed him to do in the biggest moments of this game. And I cannot stress enough to you how those 5 Miles Turner, how important those 5 Miles Turner blocks were for this game. Phenomenal last couple minutes for Miles Turner. Tyrese Halliburton started the game off like scoring the ball a little slow, but like from the jump, he was on pace for a 20-10 game. He was on pace for like a solid game. I didn't expect, like, it was like one of those games where he was playing well, but he wasn't excelling early in the game. And then in the second half, he came out, he turned up, man. 22 points, 9 of 17 shooting, 4 of 8 from 3, including some deep ones, 11 assists, 9 boards for him, and and he had 4 turnovers. Please don't get me wrong. But the 2 steals he had were massive. I thought where there was times in this game, especially in the first half, where OKC is trying to pick on him defensively, and he just wasn't allowing them to. This was a very good Tyrese Halliburton game, and we know how unbeatable this team is when he scores 20 and 10. He went out there and put up 22, 11, and 9. Great Tyrese Halliburton game, especially in the second quarter. Pascal Siakam, very, very underrated game. 8 of 14, 5 of 6 from the line, 6 boards, 4 assists, 2 steals, and the man was a +8 on the plus-minus, 4th highest on the team. That was the highest of any starter. 21 points was their 3rd leading scorer. That is a very good, very solid Pascal Siakam game. He started the game off pretty well. And it wasn't him and Tyrese Halliburton both started the game off well, but they didn't start the game off like doing anything special. And then once their bench guys did what their bench guys did, they were able to turn up from there. And I was very, very, very impressed with the things that those guys were able to do in the second half. And one thing that's been a kind of a consistent thing throughout this series is that when Siakam has a mismatch on him, especially in transition, whether it be Shea on him or Caruso on him or Isaiah Joe, Cason Wallace, Aaron Wiggins, it doesn't matter. Whoever's on him, if he thinks you can't guard him in transition, he's not wasting time. He's not playing games. He's getting right to the cup, and he's trying to finish that layup. And he hasn't made them every single time. And there have been times where he's tried to do it, and the guy has just stayed in front of him. But more often than not in this series, he has done a phenomenal job of exploiting mismatches in transition. Very solid game for him. And as I already mentioned, Halliburton had his best game of the series. On the second game, on the other side of things again, J-Dub, good game after a slow start, ended up being their leading scorer, just a very solid game, and he didn't start the game off bad or anything. Like, as you can tell from his efficiency, he was 9 of 18. It was just that he didn't start the game off doing anything spectacular. Like, it almost looked like he was not on the court just because you didn't, like, notice him most possessions. You were looking more at Shea not doing anything, or Chet hooping, or Lou Dort hooping early in the game. You looked at those things, and then you were like, damn, where's J-Dub? What's he doing? And then in the second half, just a good game. Ended up having a very good game. Was their leading scorer. Did a lot of good things in this game. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the MVP of the league. This was a very, very underwhelming game for you. And people are going to look at it. They're going to be, well, he had 24 points. Can't have been that bad. First of all, he averages 30. So it was bad. And then he took 20 shots to get to that 24 points. 9 of 20, 5 of 6 from the line. 8 rebounds, but the thing and 8 rebounds and 3 blocks. Like I said, it wasn't an ass game. It was just underwhelming game, especially in this one aspect that I want to talk about. 4 assists to 6 turnovers. That was the most turnovers that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has ever had in a playoff game in his life. Andrew Nembhard made life so difficult on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander this game, to the point where Ben Shepherd did the best he could defensively on Shai. You could tell he was fighting his ass off, but the drop off from when it was Andrew Nembhard on Shai to Ben Shepherd on Shai was massive. You could tell the difference when it was a Nembhard on him versus when it was Shepherd on him. Andrew Nembhard didn't do anything offensively this game, but props to him for the defense he played on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He didn't let Shai turn up, especially late in the game when this is a clutch game, when both teams are going kind of back and forth a little bit. Shai had a stretch where he gets maybe 2-3 clutch buckets, and he gets an assist over there on to Isaiah Hartenstein. Ended up like being a dunk, I think, for Hart on a roll right down the middle of the court, right on the middle of the paint. But other than that, man, he did not let Shai turn up in the moments when the Thunder needed him to turn up the most. Great job by Andrew Nembhard defensively. Pacers did a great job forcing turnovers, not just on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but on the team as a whole. They forced 20 turnovers, which might have... Oh, no, wait. No, that's fouls. Hold on. They forced 17 turnovers, which I think it was that for like the last couple minutes of the game, so they didn't force any at the end of the game, but they forced 17 turnovers. I think that might have been the most the Thunder have had in the playoffs. I'm not sure, but it was a lot of turnovers for the Thunder, especially when the Pacers only turned the ball over 13 times themselves. And this game started out with the Pacers actually having like 5 turnovers to OKC's 2 or 3, and then it completely flipped on its head. Great job from Indiana defensively. I think they rattled the Pacers. I think they rattled the Thunder, and I think they did a great job of making the Thunder uncomfortable in this game. Indiana leads 2-1, but one thing I will say is that this series is not over. OKC was in this exact same situation against Denver just 2 rounds ago, so I'm not going to sit up here and say, oh, Indiana Pacers have won the finals. But what did I tell y'all, man? The Indiana Pacers were not a team that OKC could just roll over. They are not a team that matched up terribly against OKC, and I said that in my preview of this series. Now, I didn't expect them to win the thing, but I said, hey, they're taking at least 2 games. They've already done that through the first 3 games, and they have a real legitimate shot to win this series. In fact, I would say I'm leaning towards them to win this series now, just because of the way they looked in this game and the way that they were able to pull out game 1 with Nembhard not playing great, with Halliburton not playing great, and being down 15 in OKC. They were still able to pull out that win, and then here it's a close game, and they got their bench players to have the games of their lives. The series isn't over by any means, but man, this was a statement win by the Indiana Pacers. All right, bro, let me know what y'all thought about this game. Let me know what y'all thought about the video. Give me y'all takeaways about the game. I love y'all. Thank you for watching. All glory to God as always. He loves you, and so do I. All right, peace out, man.